In 1901, Everitt Ormsby Hokes established Hokes Scholarly Lithography in London, England, to advance discovery in the fields of archaeology, medicine, and the natural sciences. This presentation will focus on Hokes's publications for Reverend James Randolph Denton of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The association advocated that species diversity is not the result of natural selection, but evidence of the use of zoomorphic juncture by God to produce hybrid creatures. The adult centaur in our library and our campus is an example of such a creature. The King James edition of the Bible references unicorns and dragons and other chimera. Dragons, a creature which combines the features of mammals, reptiles, and birds, are represented in many world cultures. This lithograph depicts a related specimen, the giraffe snake. Some skeptics will point to the unicorn as evidence that the Bible is a work of fiction. However, single-horned creatures such as the rhinoceros exist today. Who is to say that a one-horned wild goat did not perish in the great global flood described in the Bible? The Association for Creative Zoology first came to Tennessee in the summer of 1925 during the famous trial of John Scopes. For the trial, the association set up educational kiosks on the courthouse lawn. This photograph depicts my reconstruction of one of the displays. The major tome, Rare Zoological Specimens, included this print, which depicts a duck-billed platypus in the lower right, a curious creature that Reverend Denton claimed was an example of God's use of zoomorphic juncture by combining a beaver and a duck. Rare Zoological Specimens also includes this lithograph depicting a kangaroo rat and the kangaroo gazelle. Through this juxtaposition, one can gain a profound understanding of the ways animal hybridity is manifest in the natural kingdom. I am sure many of you have heard of the catfish, but have you heard of Micropterus trichopolaris? The Micropterus is in the bass family, and tricho is Latin for hare, and polaris for ball. In Latin, this creature essentially means bass with hairballs. The fish cat is part of the broader genus that we call, among the swimming creatures, creative zoologists refer to as Trichopiscidae, or hairy fish. Can one in the audience, anyone identify which of these beasts is not kosher to eat? Yes, you're right, the one in the lower right with the cloven hooves. A good example of Trichopiscidae is the groundhog fish. While most fur-covered fish are thought to come from northern waters, this specimen was caught by Lester Morgan of Lenoir City, Tennessee, from the Holston River and is now in the collection of the Hokes archives. One of the central missions of the Association for Creative Zoology is to educate our youth, and its success may explain why belief in creationism persists in America today. This photo shows my presentation of the kiosks in the gardens of the American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia. The 20th century philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein is credited with using the image of the duck rabbit to argue for the limits of human perception. By contrast, this folding print of a duck rabbit is used to advance public understanding of creative zoology. Taxidermy can also help the general public gain an understanding of the natural world in general and creation science in particular. Here we can see 3 avian hybrids from left to right: the gorilla hen, a flying squirrel, and of course the North American raccoon crow on the lower right. The flying squirrel is classified as an ornithological quadruped, popularly known as a 4-legged bird. While the griffin is a common example from the ancient world, less well known is the Amazonian lizard hawk, shown on the far right. Here we can see 2 additional ornithological quadrupeds: the majestic Nordic hare falcon, the mascot of Lysfjord, Norway, and the American badger swallow. 2 American badger swallows were shot by the explorers Lewis and Clark along the Missouri River in 1804. An important Tennessee fossil discovered by the Association for Creative Zoology is the bull raccoon, or Taurus crocatensis, named for the Tennessee frontiersman David Crockett. This specimen was discovered south of Nashville in 2004 when utility work was being dug for a new subdivision. Given its Tennessee origins, there are efforts to have our legislature designate the bull raccoon as the official antediluvian animal of Tennessee. Last year, a proposed bill was unfortunately sent to summer study, but it'll once again come up for consideration, I hope. Because of the presence of this noble beast in Tennessee, it's easy to imagine a time in the future when the bull raccoon may serve as a mascot for one of our favorite sports teams, with thousands of fans wearing fashionable bull raccoon hats. Reverend James Randolph Denton's contributions to creative zoology cannot be understated, and I will certainly not do that this evening. This statue in honor of him was proposed for construction in Central Park in New York City in the 1920s. Unfortunately, evolutionists prevented it from being erected. In these days, when the bogus can be claimed as true, I thank you for the opportunity to share God's artful zoological designs, to encourage more scholarship on zoomorphic juncture, and to tell the story of the Association for Creative Zoology and the Hokes archives. Thank you.